Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of Don't Be a Loser. We will go over 5 relationship-related comments. Remember that a loser is simply someone who gives up on love and lives miserable forever. Let us begin, shall we? All right. Which one do we have first? What's the psychology behind men continuing to pursue you after you've rejected them multiple times? The psychology? Well, number one, either they're desperate or they're trying to be persistent because they think you might like it. There's a lot of women saying, I wish, especially these days. It's really crazy how many women are saying this in the dating realm. They're saying, I wish he would pursue me after I rejected him once or twice. That shows that he really wants me. So these types of men, half of them, I'm just really roughly calculating here. That's not proven, but that's my estimate. I would say half of them are confused and half of them don't get the picture. They can't handle rejection. So one is a dangerous scenario when they can't handle rejection. A lot of ego, dangerous ego. They can't take no for an answer. Be very careful out there, women. These are toxic, dangerous men. Losers who are trying to make you lose out in life. So by abusive behavior, you don't want that. So the psychology goes just like that. One is a dangerous scenario where they can't handle rejection. The other one is, well, they're trying to see if you like it. Maybe by being persistent, you'll finally say yes. They're trying to play the odds. They're trying to gamble to see, well, maybe this time she'll finally say yes, she'll give in. And you're just playing hard to get. Back then, in the 80s and 90s, playing hard to get was very common. Well, you can't get me that easily. Well, it depends what he's trying to get. If he's just trying to get in your pants, that's not really good, right? Because that's not a long-term commitment. That's just short-term, just wants to check off the block. Yes, I slept with her. I got the check mark. So obviously you don't want garbage men like that. That's the psychology. So, you rejected them multiple times. It's either one or the other in that sense. So, pretty good question, but, it should be common sense, but you'd be surprised. Common sense is not that common these days. So the psychology, it's not a loser's question. I'm just going to put, it's a fair question, okay? She's just asking, well, what's up with that? I've rejected this guy multiple times and he's still coming back. He doesn't get the picture. Just be safe about it. There's a lot of desperate men. And like I said, some of them are trying to play head games. Maybe, the very extreme maybe 1% of the chance, he really does like you. And, you're going to break his heart by saying no. And maybe he is a good guy. Maybe you should be with him. But I'm going to leave that up to you to decide. It's on a case-by-case basis. Most likely, it's not going to be your Prince Charming pursuing you that much. But it could be on a very extremely rare case scenario. Just be aware of that possibility. It's like winning the lotto. Maybe you might win with that next pull of the lever. Who knows? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. It's a fair question. What can I say? I don't know where to go to find men. Like, where do men go when they're looking for women to date? Dating apps are so weird and boring. I cannot do it. Good for you. You shouldn't. So where do I go? Where do y'all go? Well, stop worrying about where everybody else goes. You don't have to necessarily go somewhere. The club. Go to the club. Go to the dance. Go to the library to meet a sweet girl. That's just all stereotypical. Just because that's the laziest option. The truth is you can find your one and only, your potential one and only, your lifelong partner anywhere. Could be at a Starbucks. It could be in a parking lot. You drop a bit of your groceries and a gentleman comes by, picks it up for you and say, hey, my name is so-and-so. A gentle introduction, a couple of smiles, there's some nice, beautiful chemistry. It can happen anywhere. So you're trying to force what's supposed to be a natural occurrence. Understand? So when you ask, where do y'all go? It's like a bunch of pigeons. Where do you all flock to? It doesn't matter where they all fly to. It could be like Venezia, a bunch of pigeons everywhere. It doesn't matter if they all go to that one place. Maybe that's not the place for you. Maybe that's not where your dream partner is. You ever thought about that? He could be right underneath your nose, so to speak. If you just go out, maybe he's a coworker, maybe somebody you're trying to put in the friend zone or already put in the friend zone. That occurs a lot. And I'm really against the friend zone. I think that's a form of abuse, by the way. Don't play around with men's feelings like that. Don't keep them hanging on. There was even a song, I believe in the 60s, by a woman singing, you just keep me hanging on. Well, that's what women are doing these days. By not ghosting, by friend zoning men. It's really, that's horrible. That's horrific. Don't ever friend zone a guy like that. Anyways, so if I were to rate this comment, where do they go? Well, that's your answer. So, this is a desperate person, borderline desperate. I'm just going to go ahead and put it's a fair comment. She's just asking just anybody at this point, just spray and pray, hoping that somebody will tell her where to go. But it's a naive question if you think about it. Like, what do you expect people to tell you? Oh, you know what? Go on the corner of 5th and 6th Street on the Harrison, Avenue. I mean, they're going to bust out Google Maps for you and tell you exactly where to go. Well, I know this one person, this one place. And, I met my fiance at a McDonald's in a drive-thru. She was beeping at me. I got out of my car and, just how I met your mother stories, right? Okay, so that just knocks it out of the park right there. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question because, my goodness, it could be anywhere. Okay, that's your answer. Why is it so hard to meet men over 40 who are healed and want to date an independent woman who doesn't need you? Oh my goodness gracious. Is this going to be the first loser comment of this show? This is a rhetorical question. Of course it is. I don't really need an answer. All right, loser. This is something a loser would say, who doesn't need you. Well, then why should they need you? Right? I mean, who needs an independent woman who doesn't need you? No sane man, only a desperate man would say yes to you. Oh, yeah, I don't care if you're strongly independent and, I'll just kneel down and you can bust out the whip and you can whip me as much as you want. You're going to get a simpleton, right? What they call simps. You're going to get a pushover, a weak man, and that's not what you want. But if that's what you can get, because that's all you're going to get with an attitude like that. This is a loser female attitude right here. This is not a real woman here. And then she's begging the question, why is it so hard to meet men over 40? Okay, so does that mean you're in your 40s? You feel like time's running out, but, well, no wonder you're still single. Because with a really garbage attitude like this is a loser's attitude. No, I don't recommend any guy for you. Not with that type of mentality. And healed? They're going to have a lot of healing to do once you cause all the damage that you're about to do with them. Who doesn't need you? Okay, so you just answered your question. What do you mean, why is it so hard? Because you're making it hard. You're saying you don't need a man. How absurd is that? It's no wonder so many guys out there are so frustrated with women today. Because a lot of them are so toxic and immature like this. You know where these toxic women end up? Dying all alone with no partner that loves them with all their heart and soul by their side. Nope. They ghost themselves with this type of sick attitude. This is a rhetorical question. You know what? We're done with your rhetorical question. What a loser. Oh my goodness. When a man comes out of the woodwork and sends you a miss you, okay, is it appropriate to respond, understandable, but I haven't thought about you at all? Or is that asking for trouble? No. No, it's not asking for trouble. I mean, if he hasn't written you for a long time and then all of a sudden, if you guys were dating, playing the foolish game of dating, then he's just as free to see other people and forget about you as you are. I mean, what are we talking about here? Out of the woodwork. That means you've been ignoring him for a long time, right? Because you'd already have your answer if he was in constant communication with you. But if he's been ignoring your texts and your phone calls, well, then there's your answer. But it seems like you already answered it here, but I haven't thought about you at all. Well, that's what you really feel. You're not asking for trouble. You're just hesitant to say that. Because maybe you fear losing this guy because you're probably in a desperate scenario. That's what I'm getting the vibes of. Coming out of the woodwork. I miss you. Maybe he just misses the good time that you guys had with each other with no commitment. No real relationship. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your life this way. One night stands, goofing around. You might have an unwanted pregnancy happen. And you're pretty much just wasting precious years of your life with these non-serious relationships. You think that you're living la vida loca, that you're having fun, but you're not. You're going to have satisfaction, but just like Mick Jagger says, I can't get no satisfaction. And he slept with I don't know how many women. Probably a good 1,000, as he claims, but who knows? Maybe it was in the hundreds. The point is, don't go for temporary satisfaction. Go for a serious, potential, lifelong relationship. And that's what I teach in my book and my video on my website. Seriously. Go understand what real love is and how to pursue it. It's not as easy as watching a Disney movie. It's very oversimplified if you just do that. And this is the trouble that you're going to get in the future. You're only asking for trouble if you're going to mess around with people like this. Now, if he's serious that he really does miss you, then he would say more than just miss you, right? So go ahead and meet up with him. See if he has a lot more to say. And then ask him to be more committed. You got to be the one courageous enough to, speak seriously with him. Otherwise, you're goofing around just as much as he is. And you're both coming out of the woodwork. All right? Understand? So, it's not really a loser's comment. She's just wondering, what to do. But I'm going to say it's a fair comment because it represents a problem these days. People not knowing how to proceed with messing around relationships. And it sounds like she's starting to doubt herself. Because she's in one sense, she immediately reacts, but I haven't thought about you at all. Are you trying to play mind games or you're just not ready for a committed relationship? Because if you just want to be with him for a good time like he probably does, most likely, then go ahead. Keep messing around. See how fast you run into that dead end, that titanium wall with that type of mentality. But not necessarily a loser comment. Let's go ahead and move on to our last comment of the show, shall we? I'm curious to know, do men like or would like it if your girlfriend/wife planned date night, told you to get ready for a certain time, has your outfit ready and surprises you with the location? Women do this for their fellas, right? Or only men do this? Well, I was always against this. It used to be a thing, even in movies. That's how much it was common. The guy would buy a beautiful, sexy dress for, his lady. Either they're married or not, it doesn't matter. Lay it out on the bed and say, honey, get dressed. Maybe bought some jewelry for her to put on in front of him so he can enjoy the sight of her putting on the sexy dress. Let me slip into something more comfortable, but in reverse, because you're going out. You're not going to stay in and, rock the bed, right? Rock the night away. So I would say, no. Men don't want that. Men do not want you to dress them up like a teddy bear. We like to dress the way we want to dress. So I would definitely not support it the opposite way either, the way this all started. Because she says, only men do this. Lay out a outfit or buy a sexy outfit and say, I want you to go out in this tonight. Well, I mean, if she enjoys that, but I wouldn't do it because you're kind of insisting. I would say, you know what, honey? You could do the same thing. You could probably buy him new clothes if that's what you're trying to insinuate that you're going to do. Surprise him with a gift and say, or you just pick something out of the closet, but it's just, I don't think it's going to work in the reverse. Some things are only one way. I'd say 99% of things work both ways, but this one doesn't quite work both ways. Unless you bought him a new tuxedo or something that he's going to be comfortable in, because not all men want those super tight suits on them. If they have a little too much muscle or they have a little bit too much around the waist, whatever the case is, maybe they don't like suits and ties the way you do. You got to be considerate. They're not your little mannequin to dress up. But the same is true in the opposite direction. Men shouldn't insist that, hey, I want you to wear this, No, just present, be like, hey, I really miss seeing you in that outfit that I saw you in. Give them the choice. So, okay, is she being sarcastic here by saying only men do this? Maybe this happened to her recently and, she wanted to try to reciprocate it by saying, okay, well, then I'm going to make you wear something that maybe you don't want. No, I don't think that's the case. So, once again, it's a fair comment. Just curious to see if there's any women out there who do the same to men. Lay it out on the bed or the table and say, honey, wear this to the dinner tonight. Who knows? Who knows? But there must be mutual respect. I don't care how much of a custom it was decades ago for the guy to buy a new dress and some jewelry and lay it out on the table and say, honey, I want you to wear this tonight because you're beautiful. Well, I mean, if she wants to wear it, I mean, thanks for the gift, right? But you shouldn't insist just because you bought it. That's really nice gesture. That's kind. That's sweet. But always give her the option. She should be in control of her own body as to what she wants to wear and what she doesn't want to wear. And the same applies for men in the opposite direction. With that said, that comment is finished. Finito. All right. So, if you have a comment that you would like for me to go over on this show, please put it down in the comment section down below. This has been Coach Ben's Don't Be a Loser. Much love, everybody.